Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we talk all things reality TV or whatever. Period.
Her.
Sure. I'm your host, Pharaoh. I'm joined by our wonderful co-host, Lee. Lee, how you feeling?
I'm ready to get into a racist ass tonight. Okay. CBS, Big Brother, Julie Chen, Moonves, Alison Grodner, Jesse Tinnemom, hell, that bitch Caston too, have all been silent on what this man has been doing in this house, Mr. Kyle Capener. And we're going to get into it here for you today.
Period. As you see, today we are going to be talking about Klansman Kyle.
Mm-hmm. And
And
his
we are
race war silent majority.
And his race war silent majority. This video, what I would like to accomplish is to give a better understanding for the people who don't necessarily understand. I want to clear up some allegations that people are saying. I want to clear up any misunderstandings, and I really
delusions.
want to some delusions. I was being nice, and I really want to explain why this is bad. What he's doing.
Why this is very problematic.
Why this is very problematic,
and how it's nothing like the cookout at all.
And why it's nothing like the cookout at all. Why it's a very bad, problematic situation, and it should not be going on. And that's what we're going to get into today.
In this essay, we will.
In this essay, we will, as evidenced by
alluding to. Furthermore, moreover, therefore,
and in conclusion,
we love a good transition.
Shit. Okay, but let's set the stage. Let's set the scene. Let's let everybody know what we're talking about exactly. So in Big Brother 24, we are dealing with a cast that is post by POC world, which means that this cast has at least 50% of people who are of color, whether that's Black or of another color, another minority group, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. Last season, we had the first season that included this new rule, and in that season, we had the cookout, who was a group of Black players who felt like because there was no representation of a Black winner, that they would band together to help have that representation for the Big Brother community. That just happened last season.
And I think it's very important to notice that from BB23 to BB24, we saw a very big shift in their direction for diversity. We got a lot of ambiguous biracial people who I feel like they felt were going to really, embody this diversity initiative they're going for. However, slapping a bunch of mixed people in the house is not diversity, Big Brother. Mm-hmm. It's just not. And this caused a lot of more problems, such as colorism and things like that, which just further, prove that these Black people, these POC in general, are not necessarily going to work together, which we all have seen from the treatment of Taylor Hale this season.
Exactly. And just to clear that up real quick, at the beginning of the season, prior to Klansman Kyle's delusion, we got a bullying of Taylor Hale, a dark-skinned Black woman in this game, and a lot of the bullying was based on colorism. They were calling her aggressive. They were calling her scary. They were saying
specifically the Black house guests, Jasmine, Amira, Coon, Rinse, and Kunti all participated in calling this girl a negative stereotype of Black women, aggressive, scary. All of these things were said up until Kyle decided that they were all working together.
And just to be very clear, they were not just agreeing; they were the main ones who were pushing the narrative alongside a Paloma and a Nicole and a Daniel,
who were also technically POC,
who were all three also POC. Who's he? Because he's saying all the POC are working together, not just the Black people. So let's clear it up. Even the other POC we're on this train of they hate Taylor, and then on top of them, it was. Right after them, it was Jasmine and Monty and Terrence adding on, very aggressively adding on.
Daniel literally said the reason why he felt even comfortable going after Taylor initially was because Monty signed off on it. Everyone felt like because other Black contestants were okay with this Black woman being targeted, it was cool.
Mm-hmm. So that's the pre idea of what he had. So we move through the game. And as we're moving through the game, a new alliance is formed with Kyle and some other minority players. The minority players in the alliance, or the POC players in the alliance, are Taylor, Joseph, and Monty. Everyone else in the alliance are white, right? So we're in this new alliance that Kyle created with these POC who are in it. There are other people outside of the alliance. The POC outside of the alliance are Jasmine, Indy, Terrence, and
that's it. Indy, Jasmine, and Terrence.
Indy, Terrence. That's it.
And I think it's also very important to mention the basis of this alliance being created is because Kyle and Monty, who Kyle had been working closely with since day one, felt like Amira was someone, and Nicole, two POCs, were bossing them around, and they felt like they had to, get from under that and create their own structure. So Kyle, with the help of Monty and the help of Joseph, created the leftover structure using Turner's HOH. So we're saying this to mention how weird the switch up was, because everyone watching the season knew Monty and Kyle were a duo. We knew Kyle worked in the Oasis with Monty and Joseph. He now created the leftovers with Monty, Joseph, and Taylor. So up until this point, it's like, well, of course he understands there is no cookout situation, because up until this point, it's important to mention, because this is an example that Kyle uses now. Monty did have a fun too with Amira because he felt like she was a strong Black woman. But the week the leftovers was created, he helped Kyle in actively flipping against her.
And voting her out. He was one of the main reasons in getting Amira all the way out of the game, exited from the game, then Nicole. Monty was also someone, like we said, who was influencing very heavily the hatred to Taylor, which Kyle was very privy to because that was one of his closest allies. So after the new alliance was created, Amira gets voted out. We then get Monty as HOH. No? Yes.
Monty.
Monty wins his HOH. During Monty's HOH, Monty goes ahead and takes out another person of color, Nicole, after nominating two people of color. He nominates Taylor and Nicole. Those are the people on the block. Nicole goes home, and we're still in this alliance. And towards the end of the of his reign, before Nicole is leaving, Nicole and Daniel start spreading seeds of the fact that there might be some sort of cookout too.
Yeah, one of the big things Nicole left, other than being a terrible person, one of her last hurrahs, I guess, was telling Michael in the storage room that because Monty is an alpha, and Jasmine's husband is an alpha, and Taylor is in the sister sorority of the alphas, which, spoiler alert, she is not, that those three were working together. So things like that was being spread around by Nicole and Daniel before Nicole had left.
So Nicole leaves, Monty's HOH reign ends. Then we get Michael as the new head of household. And this is around the time where we start hearing the thoughts of Kyle when it comes to this. So Michael becomes the HOH, and Michael's target is going to be Daniel. However, Kyle has, and I do want to say, I think it was before this week. It was before this week.
It definitely was. It was kind of going into this week.
Leading into this week.
He started to feel uncomfortable. And then it's because, so they have the leftovers alliance. It is Turner, Michael, Brittany, Kyle, Joseph, Taylor, Monty. Joseph and Monty had a good connection with a lot of the outsiders. Terrence, Indy, Jasmine, Alyssa as well. So the outsiders were actively trying to make alliances and allegiances with Monty and Joseph at the time, because they felt like, well, we don't have Michael and Brittany. We don't have Taylor and Turner. Kyle is this wild card. We want to make an alliance with Monty and Joseph. Monty and Joseph brought this information back to the Leftovers Alliance, and Kyle, along with Michael and Brittany, but specifically Kyle, when it comes to the race war, felt threatened by that, because in his mind, that was immediately 3 POCs coming to these other 2 POCs regarding an alliance that no other Caucasian person is in. So that paranoia really sits in his mind, along with probably what Michael and Daniel and Nicole were spreading around as well.
And that was occurring during Monty's HOH, when Monty was getting information from the outsiders, and that's why they were asking him to be in an alliance. Monty started telling the alliance that, because he actually trusts them, And then Kyle started using that information. So it happened towards the end of that week. He started approaching Michael and Brittany. And essentially, he approached them with an idea that, like Lee just said, the POCs were all going to work together. However, immediately, like the very beginning of this concept, he immediately included Taylor. Mm-hmm. He said, Monty and Joseph are clearly close to Terrence, Indy, and Jasmine because they told me that. So I think there might be a real alliance, even though they're telling me that these people are coming to them with an alliance. There might be a real alliance with Taylor in it based on the fact that they're all POCs, because he thinks that POCs have a greater reason to work together because they are all here for diversity. He's heard India say it in the past. He knows Monty worked with the mirror because of this. He's heard Joseph say this. So in his mind, he's feeling like that they're only going to work together because they're POCs.
Which is bullshit. And it's mainly bullshit because, like we just mentioned leading up to, these players were in no way working together at all. And Kyle has been privy to this knowledge. So for him to assume that these specific 6 people are working together is ignoring all logical reasoning up until this point. Explain the Taylor beef. Explain the reason why Amira got targeted. And that's the conversation he used. Monty kept mentioning how he wanted to be in an alliance with Amira because she's a strong African-American woman. He helped you get her out.
He voted out of
with Joseph.
And I just want to be very clear because I do feel like a lot of people, this is where a lot of people kind of feel like he was justified. And I want to clear it up that he wasn't.
Get him.
No, because a lot of people feel like Indy, Jasmine, and Terrence were trying to work with Joseph and Monty. So he is justified to think that they're all working together because they're this race. However, the issue is that he pulled it out of his mind that it was because of race. It was never even an intention because of race. When Indy and Jasmine approached them, it had nothing to do with the fact that they were POC. It was simply the fact that Kyle does not talk to them. Kyle only talks to Alyssa, Michael, Brittany, Turner.
And why does he do that? Because once he starts kind of planting the seeds of this split in this game based on race, he at that point doesn't even really try to start working on people that he feels like could automatically go with Monty, Joseph, and Taylor based on race. He did not build a connection with Alyssa past that, Jasmine, or Terrence now, but we see why he needs his diversity inclusion.
Period. And I do want to say, on top of the fact that it had nothing to do with their race and he pulled that out of his ass, also, Joseph and Monty, like we said, were telling him and their other allies who are white, who some of them are white, this information. It had nothing to do, there was no discrepancy. It wasn't a secret and it got exposed. He went to Kyle and said, hey, Kyle, by the way, these people are trying to approach us with alliance. We're not going to do it, though, because we're loyal to you. So for him to take that and immediately get scared, it just shows that Kyle has an ignorance in the back of his head. He has a white fear. He's afraid of any type of coalition between people of color. And this is what happens in real life. In real life, if people of color are seen, if Black people and other people of color are seen in any type of collaboration, a lot of the time it does make white people afraid. It makes them scared. It makes them uncomfortable because they don't feel like they have power. Yeah. And I feel like this is what's going on because he heard his ally tell him as an ally who might be approaching them for an alliance. And he took that and he said, they're all too close. They're all going to work together. They're going to pull in Taylor because she's also a person of color, even though they hate Taylor, and they're going to work against me. And let's really get into the Taylor thing because the Taylor thing is really, really, really the reason that we know it's an ignorance thing and it's a lack of knowledge thing. And it's the fact that he has racial biases. He has racial inconsistencies. He doesn't understand it because he's including Taylor when Taylor was not included in this fake alliance. Taylor was not close to Monty. Jasmine hates Taylor, and he knows it.
And Michael and
Taylor,
Brittany,
and he knows it.
Michael and Brittany vouch for her.
Michael and Brittany are vouching for her, and even after Michael and Brittany are vouching for her, he knows they hate her. He knows she's not close to these people. He still is including her consistently, not just in one conversation. In every conversation he has about it within this week, he includes Taylor in it, and he has to constantly be told they do not like Taylor. I don't care that she's Black. They don't like her. Like they're literally trying to drill it in his head that they don't like her, and it doesn't even have to be drilled because they'll say it, and then he'll go talk to Jasmine, and Jasmine will be like, "I want that Taylor girl out," and then he'll still be confused. They'll tell him they want Monty out. They'll tell them they want Joseph out. They don't even like each other. They were literally talking shit about Indy this week. They were literally all talking shit about each other, saying how much they hate each other, saying that they don't work with each other, saying that they want to target each other to not just him, but to their own themselves, to his other allies, to Alyssa, to Michael, to Brittany, to their faces. All of this, and he's still stuck on the ideology that they're all going to work together because they're all people of color, and it comes from fear. He's afraid, and Michael's afraid because the way he reacts very erratically. He reacts very suddenly. It's very quickly. He doesn't think, and it shows that he has a fear to him. And he's actually said that he's afraid of it. He's actually said that these people are scary. He said out of his mouth, Monty, Joseph, and Taylor are scary. He's afraid, and he's only afraid because they're people of color that might be working together. And that's weird because, and even at this point that we're talking about was when Michael was HOH. This is Michael's sixth comp at this point.
Literally.
And he's speaking to the cameras about how he's most afraid of Monty with 1 comp, Joseph with 0 comps, and Taylor with 0 comps at
this point. It's literally insane. And then you also have to consider the position he's in the game. He created the Leftovers alliance that centers around him. He's also in the pound of Final Four within the Leftovers that includes
2 alliances with Monty
and him and Kyle. He also has Alyssa, who is protecting him with Jasmine and Indy. But like I've mentioned before in other podcasts, because he feels like Jasmine and Indy essentially belong to Joseph and Monty, he can't work on their relationship at all. He's actively ruining his own great position. Kyle, up until this point, was one of the best players in the house. Honestly. And it's sad to see racism and ignorance really bring him down like that. Because, it definitely comes from him coming from this small, little conservative town. I mean, he said on feeds how his grandmother is racist. I bet he doesn't have a lot of POC friends. I bet he's not used to seeing Black people in groups together. But that's what really pisses me off, because you look at Joseph and Monty, you're like, oh, wow, they're close. You look at Joseph and Taylor, oh, wow, they're close. That's scary. No one's scared about Michael and Brittany. Kyle, Michael, and Brittany have been caught talking in rooms all together before several times. It's not an issue. Kyle and Alyssa are a whole showmancer. Are they currently being targeted? No. It's like, I don't understand. Why is it a problem that you, Michael, and Brittany casually linked up together and there's no issue, but you see Monty, Joseph, and Taylor joking in a group together and, oh my God, it's Cookout 2.0? That is just ignorance, and it's just racism. Point blank period. Like, there's no other way you can switch that around. It's disgusting.
Period. So, as we said, around this HOH, Michael's HOH, everything that he was feeling was debunked because so many people were trying to get Monty backdoor. Jasmine and Indy were trying their hardest to get Monty backdoor.
Kyle was gagged in all of these conversations because he genuinely could not fathom the fact that the POC players not working together. Alyssa was like, yeah, girl, Jasmine want his ass out, and Indy. He was like, what?
And I just want to let y'all know the amount of times that he had to be told something and be surprised by people of color going after each other was more than just once. It would happen. He would still push it. He would still believe that they're still working together. It would happen again. He would still believe it. Brittany would come talk to him. He would get scared. He would, huh? It would happen again. And then he would go back to they're still working together. Someone else would tell him. It happened like literally 10 times that week that he had to be told.
Yeah. Until the night where, veto had been won by Michael. And then, you have Jasmine, you have Terrence, who are really pushing for Monty to go.
Jasmine created a whole plan.
Jasmine cornered Kyle in the bathroom, was like, look, we have to go for Monty to go. Let's get him out. That's when Kyle finally realized, oh, well, maybe all 6 of them aren't working together. And I was tripping. And it's all cool. And whoop de whoop de whoop. And and we see that does not last for long.
And around this time, there's rumors that maybe production might have said something. Yeah. Because around this time, we get a conversation between Michael and Brittany also. And they start talking about the optics of what's going on. And they basically are like, what Kyle is doing is very weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're basically like, it's very weird, and they didn't agree with it at this part because they did it twice. They did this twice, But at this point, at the very beginning, when he started sailing it, they started talking about Taylor specifically, mostly Taylor. They felt like it was mostly weird that he was including Taylor because they knew Taylor was not a part of it. They still felt like that the other people might be working together because Monty and Joseph told them that the girls were.
And also, too, I do want to just mention Michael and Brittany are not safe in this situation because complacency does not help. We definitely see production tipped y'all off because y'all were not having them same sentiments in his face. Y'all were all down because, the initial plan was, well, because they have this maybe Cookout 6, we need to get Alyssa, keep Daniel, and bring in Turner. Mind you, Daniel is someone that immediately target Michael the first week. And then before he won HOH that week was saying that he's going to win the game. Why should he work with Daniel? Because he's white? Turner is someone that Michael nor Brittany have a real game conversation with. And
still to this
Kyle
day,
just assumes that Turner is going to drop his good position in the leftover /pound like Kyle's dumbass and join them just because they're white. So it's not even ignorance of just grouping the black players together. He's literally sitting here thinking, oh, wow. So obviously Turner, Daniel is going to work with us because
we're white. Literally, that's what he feels.
Which is not the case.
Which is not the case at all. And like Lee said, Michael and Brittany were agreeing. They were agreeing with the sentiment. They were considering saving Daniel. They were considering bringing Daniel and Alyssa in. They were considering creating this alliance of only white people, despite having many conversations about how Taylor is with them and how they know they need Taylor and how they know Taylor's not with the other people. They still didn't want to bring Taylor into this alliance. The only person in this alliance who wanted to bring Taylor in was Alyssa because Taylor was literally socializing the most with all the people they mentioned, and they still didn't want to bring her in. Turner, Alyssa, Kyle, Brittany, and Michael are the 5 people Taylor associated with the most, but Kyle is still saying she's with Monty, who hates her, Jasmine, who hates her, Indy, who wanted to pour hot soup on her, Terrence,
doesn't make any sense.
Terrence, who calls her a B word multiple times, who says she appropriates every negative stereotype. All of these people who hate her guts. Instead of Alyssa, who literally tells him, I literally like... Alyssa literally this week was like, I love Taylor. I low-key want to work with her. Let's bring her in. I love the Checkers group. Let's bring her in. He doesn't think, oh, maybe Alyssa and Taylor are working together. He never thinks Alyssa and Taylor are working together. Alyssa and Taylor have a final 2, y'all. They literally made a final 2 that week. And he's not even thinking that. He's thinking Taylor's with Jasmine.
That's the thing. Michael and Brittany also, I will say, Michael and Brittany also did mention, well, maybe Taylor could be in this. Kyle would not have entertained the fact of Taylor being in that.
Mind you, Michael and Brittany keep vouching for Taylor. Nothing in his head is saying, maybe they have a final 3 with Taylor. Why not? Because they're not colored. They're not black. And Taylor's not white. So he can't mix the colors. It's like, have y'all seen that movie where they had to separate the white cereal from the Cheerio
Oh my God,
cereal?
Get Out when she was eating the Fruit Loops.
Get Out. When she had to separate, that's literally Kyle. He cannot even fathom a mixture of the races. He can't fathom that a person of color is working with any of the white people or any of the white people working with a person of color.
And mind you, for people confused, this is happening weeks 4 and 5. This is way before what they're showing in the edit now. These are weeks 4 and 5 when these sentiments have come.
Michael's first HOH. So after this whole week goes by, we kind of think the diary room might have spoke to him, and he's been debunked multiple times. He kind of just backs away from the idea and he stops talking about it. So it's not that he goes around and says, never mind. He just stops talking about it. He just cuts it off. So, which makes me feel like the diary room talked to him, because it didn't seem like he ever changed his mind from that idea. It seemed like he felt like he should stop bringing up the idea. And when he brings it up again, he starts including a POC very quickly, which is why it's like, So anyways, after that week, Michael wins HOH. Then Taylor's HOH week happens. And when Taylor's HOH, there's a lot going on. But within the midst of a lot of that going on, this is kind of important. So Taylor eventually wants to target Alyssa. Alyssa is Kyle Showmance and Alyssa is white. So when Taylor targets Alyssa, the people who agree with Taylor openly, because behind closed doors, everyone agrees with Taylor. Maybe not Taylor, but the people who openly agree with her is Monty and Joseph. So because Monty, Joseph, and Taylor are all on the ship of voting openly of getting out Alyssa, Kyle believes in his little mind that is another indication that they're definitely working together with Jasmine and Indy still.
No. This now his new idealism is just that those three are working together, and now he has to jump ship from the alliance because he's clearly on the outs, because he feels like they came to him with this Alyssa plan. This is the 5th plan change this week, which no shade, it was. However, he would have known that if he wasn't fucking Alyssa for 10 seconds every day. So he got this plan late, and he felt like, well, them coming to me late with this and them being on the same page, clearly those three are working together. I'm on the outs. This confirms in his little white racist mind that clearly Turner, Michael, and Brittany all want to work with me because we all want to keep Alyssa safe. This just further indicates for him that the race war is back on. So once again, literally last week, as we're talking about this, he starts bringing up the race war again. He starts telling Michael and Brittany that Monty, Joseph, and Taylor are clearly a 3 that are working together, and we need to try to band together with Turner and Alyssa. This is initially before he tried to bring in the diversity higher. He only wants to bring in the white people still. Mind you, they ain't got no numbers.
And also, just to clarify, we've been talking about this happening for 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks now. Turner has not once been he is assuming this entire time. It's a constant assumption that Turner will agree. Now, this is the week where he actually finally brings the information to Turner. And this is it helps clarify the real dynamics of the game. Because when he brings the information to Turner, very subtly, very, very subtly, he's like, don't you think it was weird that Taylor, Monty, and Joseph were agreeing? Turner was like, no, not at all. Why would that be weird?
Taylor just wants a TV moment, right? I mean, who doesn't?
Everybody wants a TV moment.
Don't you think Monty, Joseph, and Taylor are getting closer? Turner was like, I mean, no. I'm pretty sure Monty's for the pound. Yeah. And then Kyle mentioned something about taking a shot at the alliance. He was like, people who take a shot at the alliance usually go home first. And Kyle is getting upset with Turner, thinking he can't trust Turner because he feels like, why would Turner want to go to the end with those guys? I mean, they're so strong and they have big, loud personalities. These are verbiage that he used. Why would he want to go to the end with them? And it's like, babe, not everyone is racist like you. And at this time, this is a alliance that he's trying to create, and this is something that Michael and Brittany are pushing as well. More for strategic reasons, they want a split within the leftovers, and if it has to be a race war split, I guess they'll take that too. So they're also pushing it like, yeah, get Turner, but Turner won't bite the bait because Turner is not racist, and he does not think black people are working together because they're black, and he does not care about working with other black people, like, or other POC. Like, it's just, it's so crazy. It's funny how he assumed because that boy was white that he had him, and the fact that he doesn't confuse. It genuinely shocks him. Even today, he's in conversation with Terrence, the girls who are watching the feeds. Y'all know what the fuck Kyle is doing. He's talking to Terrence. He's like, yeah, I think I can still trust Turner. Like, he's so loyal to the leftovers, but I think I can still trust him. And it's like, why do you think you can still trust him? Why do you think you can trash this man's entire game and still work with him? That just shows how delusional this man is. He is not only fucking up his game, he's actively fucking up Alyssa's, Michael, Brittany's, and Turner with the rhetoric he's spreading about all of them, and he doesn't even care because he assumes they're all going to choose to work with him just because he's white.
And I want to clarify, his relationship with Turner did not exist to this extent until he felt like all the white people needed to band together. He went out of his way to create a final 2 with Turner, even though he's been closely aligned with Monty the most. He decided to create a final 2 with Turner out of all of the people. Around the same time, he felt like all of the people of color were working together. He forced his strategic relationship with Turner because he was afraid of the people of color in the game, which is very, very weird. So at that point, the point that we were at was Taylor's HOH. He tried to get Turner to join him, and along this time, he's reiterating all of these ideas. Near the end of the HOH, there's another tip from the diary room. And with the tip from the diary room, Michael and Brittany have another conversation where they're discussing the optics. And now Kyle, just so happened, wants to include Terrence in this white brigade.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's so clear because y'all need some diversity inclusion. Y'all was like, well, we'll just go to the one who we feel is the lowest on the totem pole.
The least scary.
The least
aggressive, maybe.
Like, it's just so weird. It's how we're not even gonna get into how Terrence is eating it up and tap dancing along with them. But it's crazy because he is ignoring, like we said, all logic. There is nothing good in the game that he's playing because it's literally not based on reasoning. It's all based on how he feels. And he feels like because Monty, Taylor, and Joseph are POC, they're linked. And he can't break that 3 and he will never penetrate it. The whole time, Joseph and Monty are loyal to the pound. Joseph and Monty were 100% loyal to the pound until Kyle showed his entire ass last week.
Literally. And even then, I still feel like Monty might be loyal to the pound. Now, Joseph, I don't know about that. There's even a chance that they still might even be loyal to the pound. He just literally doesn't talk to them anymore. He doesn't strategize with them anymore. He mainly strategizes with Michael, Brittany, Alyssa, and Turner. And not even Turner no more. So it's like, hey.
Yeah, because he felt like Turner one of them. Once he felt like Turner was too close to them, he was like, well, can't bring it out to Turner no more.
So Taylor's HOH ends, and now we have the situation we're in now. Now, this week, with the split houses, we have in Kyle's house, it is Kyle, Alyssa, Turner, Joseph, and Terrence. Terrence is the head of household. So Kyle feels like Joseph is his biggest threat because Joseph is the only black person, not safe, not black, only person of color, not safe. So of course he's not in his alliance. So he wants to target Joseph. So he betrays the leftovers. He exposes the leftovers to Terrence. He tells Terrence that me, you, and every other person who's white, other than Turner, because Turner does not agree with the white power sign, should work together and make it to the end. So that is the pitch that he's created to Terrence, and he's exposed the leftovers, trying to get the target onto Monty, Joseph, and Taylor. Now he is trying to isolate and attack Monty, Joseph, and Taylor because they're people of color.
Mind you, Monty, Joseph, and Taylor do not have a set final 3.
They don't even have a final 2.
Joseph don't even have a final 2.
Joseph and Taylor don't even have a final 2.
These are all
Turner and Joseph don't even have a final 2. Like,
today he's talking to Alyssa and Terrence. He's like, I'm at the bottom. I feel like I'm on the outs. Like, this is all I can do. This is the only way I can turn. And it's sad because I feel like he genuinely feels that way. He genuinely feels like this is the move he has to make or he won't win the game, which is stupid. That's literally dumb. If anything, he set up for a final 4 in the pound, and he would beat any of those 3. He's walking around, I would never beat Monty. I would never beat Joseph. Why? Because you feel like all the PLCs just gonna vote them? Like, what makes you think genuinely you cannot vote them? Kyle was playing the best game in this house. Even after the first race war incident, he was still playing one of the best games.
Literally.
Like, he is actively choosing to tear his own game down. And the thing is, he's doing it because he thinks that he got the white people on lock. He's going to Alyssa and Terrence like, yeah, we definitely have Michael and Brittany. We're a 5. You know, we probably can still bring Turner in. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. It's like, no, Michael and Brittany are not going to be down with this because he's actively exposing their games too. Why would they be okay with that? Just because you want to protect Alyssa.
And I want to be clear. The reason that other people are not down with it, other people are not really being mentioned, is because Kyle's the only player playing this race war. Even Alyssa does not give a fuck. She's not in the same idea. Michael and Brittany know that they want to take Taylor to the end. They might want to take Terrence to the end. No one else is focused on getting all the white people to the end but Kyle. And that's because Kyle has an ignorance and a racial bias that makes him feel afraid of every black player. I feel like even if they were individually there, even if they weren't all there, if it was just one of them, he would probably still be afraid of that one Monty, that one Taylor, or that one Joseph,
and that's
because he has a bias.
And this is not opinion. This is literally a fact. Like,
he said, they're scary. I'm afraid. I need them to go. Them together look scary. I don't want them to band together.
Like, literally, considering his background, we have to be realistic. How many friends do we think that are actually black? How many black people, black social settings or POCs has he been around his life? He is a sheltered, Mormon, racist, white boy that lives with his mama at 30 years of age, okay? He's very ignorant. He's very childish. And he needs to get a job.
And if you agree with Kyle, or if you don't think that what he's doing is wrong, I don't expect you to still be here at this video, but I do want to say that racial bias is a fact. It's not an opinion. It is a proven scientific researched fact. There is a fact that everyone has bias and people can have racial bias. And it is also a fact that is based off of past experiences. Do you have experiences with these people? Kyle does not seem to have experiences with these people because he gets afraid around these people.
This is white fragility at his finest, his insecurity. And for people who are saying, well, he's justified in feeling that because of the cookout, that is not true because Black players have been ostracized, grouped together, and pushed aside way before a cookout. That's why we had a cookout. Literally. You sound stupid. Literally. And that's also problematic in itself because why would you assume just because those 6 POC people did it, that any 6 POC would do it?
And that also shows you didn't know the reason.
White. Let's be 1,000% honest here. Indy is white.
And that also shows that
she could have been on your side. Just because she's the first Brazilian doesn't mean shit.
He thinks it does, though. That means he doesn't understand, but that really shows that he didn't understand the reason for the cookout. And a lot of you don't.
Most people don't.
And a lot of you don't. So if you're still here, I'm glad you're here. But I'm going to clear it up.
Whether you just ignored everything I just said, and you're like, well, you're wrong. You can't ignore what's been happening this season. The fact, like that's the thing, even if you say, well, no, the cookout is a good, justifiable reason as to why he should do it, what in this season has pointed to all 6 of the POC working together? One action this season. Justifiable for real. Not one. So the fact that he is still pushing it, there's no excuse for it. There's no excuse you can make for it. And I just want to say a big fuck you to CBS and Julie Chen, because the way they've been editing this shit has been very nasty. They're making it seem like, oh, Taylor was the first person to bring up race when she mentioned Jasmine. Like we just said in this video, Kyle, Michael, and Brittany were discussing these things week 4. This is after Taylor just evicted a Black woman, mind you. So let's stop acting like the POC are the reason why he should feel justified. Julie Chen, bitch ass, got on the interview today talking about oh, well, Taylor did mention not wanting to put up a Black woman. I mean, that's a good reason as to why. First of all, Julie Chen, Moonves. The Moonves stands for rapist, no shade. Like, my thing is, you're on national TV supporting a sexual assault. Abuse. Like, he's an abuser. That's your husband, babe. Worry about what's in your backyard. We see why you want to be Miss Christian, Miss Jesus lady all of a sudden. You must got a lot of skeletons in your closet that you're trying to hide.
I know that's right, Buki. Let me clear up the cookout shit real quick. I said it once and I said it again. I'm gonna defend my cookout. The fuck? So what I will say, once again, if you're listening, listen slowly, listen carefully, boo. The intention of the cookout was for representation. A lot of people argue, this is their argument, that is wrong, is that if the cookout attacked one race and they all tried to get out one race, why can't other people do it? That's one. The second thing is, if the cookout just band together just because of their color of the skin, how is that not racist? That's 2. Let's debunk them real quick. 1, the cookout did not attack one particular race. I didn't know Derek X was white. I didn't know Alyssa was white. I thought Alyssa was Latino and Derek X was an Asian man. They did not create themselves to attack white people. How Kyle is creating his alliance to attack the people of color. That's what Kyle's doing. That's not what the cookout's intention was. The cookout's intention was representation. The reason the cookout was made is because there was never a Black winner. That's a fact. Go Google it. Now, has there been a white winner? Yes, multiple. So why is Kyle making his? I don't know. Now, the last thing that I will say is that a lot of people feel like the cookout banding together because they're Black is racist. First of all, it's not, because it's on the basis of representation. Also, Black people really just can't get racist, but let's not get into that because that gets confusing for a lot of you dumb bitches. So, the representation is the reason that the cookout band together. Whether that representation was that no one who was born on a Friday has ever won the game, whether that representation was that no one with a green quarter in their back pocket has never won the game, whether that representation was that we're all yellow, that we're all green, that we're all blue, or we're all gold. It was not because they're Black, it's because they had a lack of representation of what they were. They could have band together because they were all bald. It doesn't matter. If they feel like they are underrepresented in this world, in the community, in society, and that's a reason for them to band together, then that is justifiable. What Kyle is doing is saying that he is scared out of his mouth that the Black people are working together, even though they bullied a Black woman, and I made an alliance against them bullying a black woman. I'm afraid they're working together. So I want to get everyone white to go against this one group of people that are all POCs. That is not what the cookout did. Watch your tone.
That's the thing. And another thing that's sad too, a big difference between the cookout and what Kyle is doing is that I've mentioned this before. The cookout came together for something bigger than the game. Kyle is grouping other people together based on his own white fragility. That is two different things.
He's in defense.
He's in defense.
In defense mode, boo.
He's grouping people together who are loyal to him, who are not loyal to each other. He's putting them in a box and trying to ostracize them and put them to a side. That is problematic, and that is racist.
Ostracize, put them to the side, put them in a box, grouping them together. All indications of racial bias, all indications of prejudice, all indications of negative assumptions. He's grouping these people together based on the color of their skin, based on the idea that he thinks they'll relate to each other.
But that's the real gag. The real gag, based on the 50%, like who they casted, the only full white person to go home has been Pooch.
That's it.
Literally.
And mind you, Jasmine, Taylor, Monty, multiple people of color have been the HOHs to send other people of color out. Like Lee said earlier, there's no indication for him to think that this season.
Not all. So, in conclusion, Kyle is a terrible, racist human. All Kyles in Big Brother have been terrible. We got 2 racist ones in a row.
And fuck you, Julie.
Fuck you, Julie.
No, because she really pissed me the fuck off. Y'all, this is not the first time. Back when Taylor was being literally called aggressive, black, colored, scary, negative stereotype of every black thing alive, Julie went on the internet and said, we should show those house guests grace because they're inside of the Big Brother house for a week.
Like how you showed your husband grace?
Did your husband show the victims grace?
God won't be showing him grace. I know that.
Girl, she got me fucked up. And then she doubled down.
Julie said, I was going to go pray and talk about God. I hope you pray for your husband's victims, bitch.
And fuck CBS. I'm done. You done?
I'm done. Fuck Kyle too.
And fuck Kyle too.